Welcome to Winning the Battle with Coach LJ. This is episode 3. The last couple of episodes we did one on fear and one on motivation. We said we would be doing nutrition this week, but because of the epidemic going on, we are not able to do that with our guests that we have lined up. So we've moved on to a different topic, which is making it work. A lot of people right now with shelter in place are having to find different ways to make things work. One of the things they're having to make work is how are they still going to get their workout in when they're used to going to a gym. So over on the left hand side of the board, we have a few options that a lot of people have found useful. One is coming up with your own home or garage gym. One is making your own equipment, renting equipment from the gym you currently go to if that is an option, and then doing body weight things. Another thing people have found useful is by joining virtual gyms or virtual classes. A lot of gyms have switched to some Zoom classes, and there's a lot of other things on YouTube that's been out there that people have found useful during this time. The biggest thing though is accountability and of course motivation. Since we've already had an episode on motivation, we won't talk a whole lot about it. But we will touch briefly on accountability. One of the main reasons that people like to go to a gym versus just doing it on their own at home is for accountability and for that motivation. So, how are people still holding themselves accountable? The main thing, through social media. Friends and family, of course, and through groups. A lot of gyms have group messages going on where people can post things and still be part of a community together just through a virtual world versus in person. We're hoping that things will start reopening soon, and some states are starting to reopen. But until then, let's just talk about how we can continue to make things work to the best of our interests. So I'm going to show you guys today my personal home gym and how I did have this put together before all of this started, and the reason being is because when I first moved here 7 years ago, there was not a CrossFit gym. So I had to come up with my own stuff and make it work. So I'm going to show you how I pieced together things and found people and resources to help me piece these things together to make it work. Now I know you guys had a short amount of time to get things together. So hopefully whatever gym you were part of allowed you to rent equipment and still make things work for you at your home. I also talked about how a lot of people were making things themselves. I've had some of my personal members find just old barn wood and even make their own squat rack. So there's definitely ways people are getting creative, and that's what I want to encourage you guys to do during these hopeful last few weeks before gyms can reopen. So starting in my own personal home gym, I'm going to let Zoe do kind of an overview of it all real quick, and then we'll just kind of go piece by piece of how I put everything together to make sure that I had everything that I needed. All right, we'll start with the floor. The floor is rubber flooring, just like you would see in a typical gym, especially a CrossFit gym. This floor, at the time, I didn't have a lot of money to invest in flooring, so I found the gym that was closing, and they were getting rid of their flooring, and then they were happy for me to take it off their hands. So one thing you can always look for if you're ever wanting to just make your own gym to have all the time anyway, is to you can find them online, gyms that are closing, and if you're willing to go pick it up, I bet they're going to be willing to give it to you. All right, then this box right here. If you have friends that are crafty, like I said, some people have been making their own things like squat racks and such, then find a friend that can build for you and see if they don't mind making this for you. Of course, you might want to give them a little bit for spending time on that, but if they don't want anything, just take them a good hot supper one night. All right, so then we've got over here, this is my handstand push-up wall, and all it is a piece of plywood that you can get from Lowe's and screw it into your wall. Now, my garage, as you can see, kind of the wall goes back here, so it does shake at the top, so I had to put things behind it to make it where it does not shape so bad when I'm kicking up. But if you have a flat wall, then no problem. You should be able to screw yours in all the way up. Of course, you can buy this equipment, the bumper plates and things I did, of course, buy offline and make that. Let's go to my pull-up rig here. I had a good friend that was a welder, and so he just went on Rogue, and Rogue.com actually tells the dimensions of all their equipment, even the box. That's how the person that made the box knew the dimensions for the box. So you can get the dimensions off of that website, and if you have a friend that can weld, then they can build you this rig. You don't have to have a rig quite this elaborate. You could have something that melts on the wall to do pull-ups on as well. So that will give you more space in your garage, because this does take up quite a bit of space. The reason though I did want this is so that I could have a squat rack built in. So we have the J-cups here and here, which then provides me with a squat rack for me to do some lifts off of here, as well as to hang my rings from here to be able to do ring dips, practice muscle up progressions, ring push-ups, anything that you do with rings, banded body rows or whatever. So that same friend though that welded this was not quite sure how to put this in the ground. So what did I do? I found another friend that was a contractor, and he and some of his guys came out and they put this down in the ground for me. So just seeking help is sometimes all it takes, and a lot of times, especially during this time, people are willing to help. Of course, the rower and the bike are just things that were purchased, as well as the fan. You definitely want a fan, and the GHD machine and the bench. But like I said, things can just be made, and so always keep that in mind and use your friends as resources. You can also see on my rig I have a wall ball target, which was also made from a welder, and again he just got the dimensions from Rogue.com and was able to weld that and make it as well. So going back to the board, this is an example of a garage or a home gym you can have. We talked about homemade equipment, as you've seen here as well, and rentals. A lot of gyms have came up with different systems for renting equipment. There's even a few people that don't go to my gym that I rented to, just so they would have what they were needed, because I was trying to make sure the community of Troy and anybody that needed something had the equipment they needed to work out. If you don't have a lot of equipment and you're a smaller gym like myself, then you can make it where people can rotate equipment. We didn't necessarily do that because of the programming I've still been doing. They were able to keep the equipment they have and do their workouts based off of that equipment this entire time. However, I do know a lot of other gyms that decided to rotate their equipment, whereas, take for example, somebody might have a rower one week, they might swap with somebody the next week that had a bike. So they weren't just rowing the whole time, and they were getting the benefits of both. And then body weight workouts. I know there's been a lot of people that have just said, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with body weight workouts at this time. And that's always a good thing. You can see a lot of very famous athletes, that's all they did their entire career, and they were very, very strong and great athletes, just sticking with body weights and not actual weights. So keep those 4 things in mind as you're getting through this time. And if you need to become part of a community through virtual gyms, with Zoom being one of those options. All right, we hope that you can make it work yourself, and we will see you hopefully when all this is over for episode 4 on nutrition.